revealed how one girl's incredible strength helped her expose a life-changing family betrayal. Lily Anderson had always worn her heart on her sleeve. At 16, she was the lifeblood of Maple Hollow, a spirited girl with wild curls flying as she dashed between tables at the local diner. Her laughter rang louder than the clanking dishes in the kitchen. Yet beneath those bright eyes, a storm brewed. Living in a trailer park, she felt the weight of her community's loyalty, especially when it came to her late father, a decorated soldier. He was a hero to all, including Lily, who idolized him like no one else. But one sweltering July afternoon, everything changed. Hot sun streamed in through the diner's window as she wiped down a table, eavesdropping on a whisper that shattered her world. "Did you hear about the scandal regarding the brave Anderson? I heard he had ties to the enemy." The word struck her like a knife. Her heart raced. The room went blurry as she took in the words her father's legacy suddenly tainted. Fear tugged at her gut. What if everything she believed about her dad was a lie? What did they know? Shouldn't the truth be told? The thought gnawed at her like an itch she couldn't scratch. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Determined to learn more, Lily's heart raced as she scoured the town for truth. But each person she approached seemed to retreat into a protective shell. Her own mom, once a beacon of strength, only shook her head, eyes filled with sorrow. Don't dig, Lily. Loyalty runs deeper than lies. Protect your father's memory. The clash of values rattled her like thunder. Lily felt like a fish out of water, lost and alone. She loved her mom, cherished their bond, but could loyalty thrive in deceit? As the Maple Hollow Veterans Day Festival approached, the community buzzed with excitement, a celebration of all that made them tight-knit. But for Lily, it shifted into a battleground. As she stood before the crowd, their faces beaming with pride, an idea sparked. Underneath the smiles lay shadows she couldn't ignore. With her heart pounding, she pondered whether she could question her father's legacy in front of everyone, or whether it would make her the ultimate traitor. As the day drew closer, a rumor buzzed that shattered her resolve. If the whispers about her father were true, was there anyone to support her? Would bravery pave the way for betrayal? Tension sat heavy in the air, a weight that pressed against her chest. Would her search for truth unite them or tear them asunder? Lily stood at the precipice, trembling with uncertainty, ready to risk it all for the sake of honesty, caught between loyalty to her family and the longing for truth. Would she uphold her father's legacy, or expose the betrayal that loomed in the shadows? As the crowd gathered, she took a deep breath, her heart racing as the silence thickened. The silence was deafening. Lily stood frozen, her heart pounding like a drum in her chest. She glimpsed her friends and neighbors, their faces lit with laughter and stories of heroism, yet all she could think about was the mounting pressure that threatened to burst. What if her father wasn't the man they all believed him to be? A gentle hand touched her shoulder. It was Mrs. Jennings, the elderly volunteer organizer of the festival, her wise eyes searching Lily's face. "You doing okay, sweetheart?" Lily forced a nod, but inside, turmoil swirled. The whispers echoed in her mind, twisting the pictures she had painted of her father. Could it be that his so-called bravery had been built on secrets? "Lily?" The soft voice brought her back to reality. "We need you up there. You're the heart of this town, honey." As she approached the stage, every step felt like wading through thick mud. The crowd's murmur faded into white noise, and her pulse raced in sync with her steps. She looked over at the small American flag draped on the podium, the very flag her father had fought for. The thought made her stomach churn. Taking the microphone in shaking hands, she cleared her throat. The crowd hushed. "Hi, everyone," her voice trembled, but she pushed onward. "Thank you for coming to honor the brave men and women who have served our country." As cheers erupted, she had a moment of clarity. What if she spoke of her father's bravery? But the weight of the rumors pulled her back. "I need to ask something." The tension in the crowd shifted. Laughter faded, replaced by an expectant silence. She could feel their eyes on her, full of admiration, but also judgment. My dad, he was a hero to us all. But what if he wasn't he? A voice called out from the back, brave and accusatory. A silence fell heavier than before. Who was that? Lily sought the source, and her own gaze fell upon Eric Harper, a boy she once called her friend. He stepped from the shadows, his expression fierce. What if he had ties to the enemy? It wouldn't be the first time a soldier's name was dragged through the mud. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Lily's heart sank, anger boiling within her. Who was he to throw that kind of weight around? This isn't just gossip, Eric. This is my father we're talking about. But Eric didn't back down. Is it gossip if it's the truth? What happens when all these heroes we put on pedestals turn out to be just human, Lily? His words pricked at her flesh, cutting deeper than she expected. The festival wasn't just a celebration. It was starting to feel like a reckoning. Suddenly, the air grew heavy with silence again, and doubts, like shadows, stretched across her heart. Could this be more than just whispers? Could the truth buried in the past reshape everything she believed, including her very identity? She could feel her breath coming shallow. The room spinning, her father's face flickered in her mind, resolute and proud. Was that the legacy she wanted to cling to? Or did she owe it to herself and the town to uncover the truth, no matter how ugly it was? Maybe it's time to find out what really happened. As the weight of her words settled, she left the stage, knowing she'd set a chain of events in motion that could challenge everything. But what awaited her on that path of truth? The question hovered like a storm cloud, dark and looming, ready to unleash. Would she have the strength to face whatever that truth might be? Lily stepped off the stage, her heart still racing. The crowd's chatter returned, but it felt distant, as if she were in a bubble. With every step, the weight of her decision pressed down harder, each breath tasting heavier than the last. She needed air. Outside the festival tent, the sun was brighter, almost mocking her turmoil. The flags fluttered as if celebrating a victory she wasn't sure she believed in. Flashes of her father's laughter, the warmth of his hugs, played in her mind, conflicting with the doubting whispers growing louder. Lily, the voice snapped her from her thoughts. It was Sarah, her best friend, sprinting toward her, concern etched on her face. What was that back there? You challenged everything. Lily looked at her, wanting to find comfort in those familiar features, but all she felt was dread. I don't know, Sarah. I just felt like I had to say something. You think Eric's right? Sarah's expression softened. I don't know. She rubbed her temples, frustrated. What if what he said is true? What if my father had secrets that can't just be brushed aside? Lily, he was a soldier. A hero. Wouldn't he, you know? The question lingered between them. It was razor-sharp and deep. Shouldn't I know? She whispered, half to herself. Before Sarah could respond, Lily turned. She needed to escape the festival, away from the masks of joy that felt suffocating. She headed toward the nearby park, muscles tense with every stride. The vibrant green stretched before her, but all she could see were the shadows. As she reached the old wooden bench, she flopped down, feeling lost. Memories flooded her mind. Her father reading to her, teaching her how to ride a bike. The day he came home from deployment looking battered but gloriously smiling. What if those memories are built on lies? She murmured. The wind rustled the leaves overhead, as if the universe was trying to respond. At that moment, her phone buzzed violently in her pocket. It jolted her from the depths of her spiraling thoughts. She pulled it out, a message from her mother. We need to talk. Tonight. Lily's stomach twisted. This was it. The invitation to delve deeper into the unknown. Would she find understanding or unraveling? With a mix of fear and determination, she stood up. Tonight, she would confront the elephant in the room. Her mind raced. What did her mother know? Would she have answers or further fuel for the fire of confusion? Did she even want the truth, or was it better to live in the comforting haze of half-remembered glory? As she walked back to the festival, every face was now a puzzle. Who held secrets, and who was truly the hero? The path ahead felt murky and uncertain, but there was also a flicker of hope. Understanding was a powerful weapon against fear. Yet, as the sun dipped low, casting long shadows over her hometown, another equally troubling thought crept in. What if uncovering the truth meant tearing her family apart? Deciding to face her mother meant she was venturing into unknown territory, and that frightened her deeply. But in that fear also bred a burning curiosity. What awaited her in her mother's explanations? With every heartbeat echoing through her chest, she took a deep breath. It was time. The truth was waiting. But could she handle the consequences? Lily walked through the festival, her heart a tempest of emotions. The laughter around her felt foreign, a stark contrast to the weight resting heavily on her chest. Each smile she passed seemed to mock her uncertainty. She spotted Sarah again, mingling with a group by the food stalls, and their eyes locked briefly. But the warmth she usually felt from that connection was overshadowed by her dread. As she meandered through the throngs of people, the delicious smells of roasted corn and funnel cakes wafted past her, yet she couldn't enjoy anything. Her body was on autopilot, moving toward home, to the conversation she dreaded. What would her mother say? The evening sky began to deepen, swirling colors of orange and purple, a poignant reminder of the beauty life usually held. But inside, her heart felt bruised, burdened with unsettling questions. What secrets wrapped her father in shadow? When she finally arrived home, the familiar creak of the porch under her feet offered no comfort. She stepped inside, the coolness of the house washing over her, but it failed to soothe her anxiety. Her mother was waiting in the living room, the warm glow of the lamp casting soft shadows on her worried face. "Lily," her mother began, her voice taut with unshed emotion, "I'm glad you're here." "Mom," Lily said, her voice shaking. "You texted me. What do you want to talk about?" Helen hesitated, her eyes darting to the family photos hanging on the walls, photos of happier times, of a dad who always seemed invincible. "I've been meaning to tell you about your father, about things he didn't share." Lily felt a knot tighten in her stomach. Things he didn't share? Like his secrets? Her mother's face paled, but she stood firm, nodding slowly. "There are parts of his life that he kept hidden, Lily. Things that might change how you see him. Things I wish you didn't have to know." Taking a deep breath, Lily summoned the courage to press further. "What happened, Mom? Why now?" Helen sat down on the couch, her eyes glistening with tears. "Because you deserve the truth, even if it's painful, even if it changes everything." Lily's pulse quickened. "Tell me, please." Her mother's gaze dropped, staring into her hands. "It's about his time in the military, the things he did that haunt him, and us. Decisions that were made in the name of orders, that put him in impossible situations. The kind that would shake anyone to their core." The words hit Lily like icy water, chilling her bones. Is that why he never talked about it? Why he always seemed distant? Even from a distance, she could see the weight of truth pressing heavily on her mother's shoulders. "Yes, he wanted to protect us, but it took more from him than I think you understand." Lily felt unsettled, the walls of her childhood home now closing in. Protect us or protect himself? Her mother's silence spoke volumes. "There's more you need to know." Lily, the room felt like it was spinning, the truth she sought becoming a hurricane of revelations. It was no longer just about her father. It was about everything she thought she knew about family, love, loyalty. "Mom," she breathed, heart now racing faster. "I have to know everything. I can't keep living in the dark. Are you sure you're ready?" Her mother's eyes were wide with concern, as if she feared where this conversation would lead. Lily nodded, her voice quiet but steady. "I need it, even if it changes everything." The air was heavy with anticipation and dread. As her mother began to reveal secrets that would unravel her world as she knew it, Lily could feel the ground shift beneath her, ready to lead her on a tumultuous journey. In that moment, she realized something profound. She wasn't just looking for answers about her father. She was also searching for the strength within herself to face whatever truth waited, light or dark. And as they sat on the edge of revelation, one thought shot through Lily's mind. How could her small family survive the storm that was now inevitable? Lily felt the chill in the room creep up her spine as her mother took a moment, the silence pregnant with untold stories. The flickering light from the lamp cast long shadows, making the family photos appear as ghostly reminders of happier times. She clenched her fists in her lap, her heart racing in anticipation. "Your father," Helen began, her voice trembling. "He was involved in operations where he had to make impossible choices. Choices that left invisible scars. You have to understand, Lily, he did what he believed was right, but not every decision was made with a clear conscience." "What do you mean, Mom?" Lily pressed, needing the truth to fill the gaps that had obfuscated her memories. Helen inhaled deeply, tears forming again. He never shared the deepest parts of what he endured overseas. The guilt that consumed him in ways we couldn't see. I thought he was just being a soldier, but it was more than that. He lost friends, witnessed horrific moments that changed him. Lily's imagination raced, the images spinning in her mind like a movie on fast-forward, her father's smile hiding the darkness, his sturdy frame carrying burdens she never knew existed. But why didn't he ever tell us? Because he wanted to protect us, Helen whispered. He thought sheltering us from his past would keep the family safe, but in truth, it built a wall between him and everyone he loved. Lily's chest tightened, realizing too late that the wall had been growing all along, brick by brick. So he was suffering alone? For years? Exactly. You don't know how hard it was for me to watch the man I loved slip away. He was there, but not really there. And I thought he was simply distant, withdrawn from life. Helen's voice cracked, emotions spilling over. I couldn't reach him. Lily's mind spiraled. She felt lost, stranded between the loving memories of a father she adored and the harsh truths of his trauma. Didn't you ever think to ask him? Didn't you want to help him? A flurry of emotions crossed her mother's face, frustration, regret, and sorrow mixed together. Believe me, I tried. But every time I would ask about the past, he'd shut down. He turned the conversation back to us, our lives, our dreams, and I thought if I gave him space, he'd eventually open up. Lily wrestled with the magnitude of this revelation. She was filled with a surge of anger, not just for her father, but for the secret that had loomed over their family. Mom, I can't believe you let it go on like this. Doesn't he owe it to us to share what is going on? Lily, it's complicated. People cope differently. Sometimes it's easier to hide than to face the truth. Easier for him, or for us. The question hung in the air, heavy and harsh. Helen looked away, tears spilling freely now. Maybe both. The weight of their shared sorrow seeped into the corners of the room, filling it with a tense energy. The truth was becoming clearer, but with each revelation came more questions. Would understanding his past really pull the family back together, or would it tear them apart? Mom, does he even realize how much he has hurt us? I don't know if he does. Helen's voice cracked, revealing her own helplessness. He's battling his demons alone. He doesn't see the damage he is causing us by pushing us away. Silence fell, the reality settling in, thick and suffocating. Lily felt the weight of her family's dysfunction pressing down on her like a physical force, but amidst it all, a flicker of determination ignited within her. Then we have to do something. We can't just let him drown in this. Her mother looked at her, surprise lighting up her tear-streaked face. What do you mean? Lily felt the fire of resolve burning strong now. I'm going to talk to him. He needs to face this. We need to face this as a family. Helen grabbed her daughter's hand, squeezing tightly, the tension of the moment binding them together. Are you sure, Lily? This can go really deep. I need to know my father. I need him back. The conviction in her voice surprised even her. As they shared an intense gaze, shadows of fear and hope danced between them. Just as the first step forward seemed evident, a new thought struck Lily like a bolt of lightning. What will he say when he realizes how much he has been hiding? And just as that thought settled in the air, the door creaked open from the hallway. Lily's heart stopped. Would her father appear, ready to confront the storm waiting for him? Lily's breath caught in her throat as the door swung wider, revealing her father. He stood there, framed in the doorway like a silhouette from a dream, the light behind him spilling into the room. For a split second, everything froze, the air thick with disbelief and tension. Dad. Lily's voice barely emerged, wavering like a fragile thread. He looked disheveled, his hair tousled like he had just woken up from a heavy sleep. The shadows underneath his eyes hinted at more than just exhaustion. He blinked slowly, confusion written all over his face. But as he took a step inside, the expression shifted to one of wariness. What is going on? He asked, his brow furrowing. Helen jumped in, urgency lacing her words. Mark, we need to talk, she said, the tremor in her voice evident. Lily watched her father's body tense at her mother's tone, a space slowly filling with the unsaid. He shifted from foot to foot, seemingly trying to gauge the atmosphere. Is this about Lily's school? Because I thought we decided that no, it's not about that. The strength in Helen's voice surprised them both. This is about you. About what you've been carrying. Mark's eyes darted between the two women, a flicker of realization crossing his face. But instead of responding, he shifted his gaze to the ground, his shoulders slumping as if the weight of an unseen burden bore down. Lily felt her heart race, a swirl of courage and fear igniting a fire in her gut. Dad, we know about the choices you made. About the things you went through. His head snapped up, disbelief morphing into anger. What do you mean you know? Who told you? Mom, Lily said, her voice firmer than she felt. She told me everything. Mark took a step back, his eyes narrowing. You shouldn't have to deal with this. I wanted to protect you both. By shutting us out? Helen's voice cracked, pain etched deep in her features. Did you think we'd be better off not knowing? You are hurting us more by keeping this a secret. Secrets don't hurt. He spat back, the words sharp enough to slice through the tension. But even as he said it, Lily could see him crumbling. The facade was slipping, revealing the pain he fought so hard to hide. Secrets suffocate, Lily said, tears beginning to blur her vision. You don't have to fight alone anymore. Let us in. For a long moment, silence hung heavy in the air. Mark's defenses crumbled as his shoulders slumped further, and it felt like the world had drawn a sharp breath, waiting for the impending release. I don't know how to talk about it, he admitted, his voice a near whisper. Start anywhere, Helen urged, stepping closer. Just please let us help. Mark wiped a hand across his brow, disbelief making way for vulnerability. I don't want you to see me like this broken. But we already do, Lily said. And it's okay. It's okay to be broken. The room was thick with unspoken emotions, each heart pounding in synchronization. Tears began to fall from Mark's eyes, mirroring those of Helen and Lily. The moment was raw. Everything they had hidden or avoided bubbled to the surface without warning. Lily took a tentative step forward, crafting an invisible thread between them. We can face this together. It won't be easy, but pretending it doesn't exist will only dig a deeper hole for all of us. The tension in Mark's face gave way slowly. What if I can't find the words? He looked lost, a ship caught in emotional storms. You have to try, Helen urged gently. For us. For you. As he opened his mouth to respond, the sound of footsteps echoed in the hallway. The shrill call of her younger brother's voice sliced through the fragile moment. Dad. Mom. Where are you? Mark's gaze shot to the door, panic flashing across his features. Lily's heart sank. This wasn't just their moment. Not anymore. Lily, her father said abruptly, his expression now a mixture of fear and determination. I need to talk to you later. Can we do this again? Lily hesitated, teetering between the urge to cling to this glimmer of hope and the impending interruption that threatened to ruin it. Yeah, Dad. Of course. As her brother's footsteps grew louder, Lily felt the weight of their unfinished conversation hang in the air. Could they really turn this hurt into something meaningful? In that moment, everything seemed poised on a knife's edge, waiting for one person's leap of faith to turn their broken fragments into a mosaic of healing. Lily watched her father's face morph between panic and relief, a collision of emotions that mirrored her own. The footsteps grew louder, almost demanding. She felt a rush of frustration. They had come so far in such a short time, but now everything was slipping through her fingers. Dad, please, she tried, desperation creeping into her voice. But before he could answer, her younger brother, Jamie, tumbled into the room. His innocent chatter hit like a splash of cold water, breaking the fragile bubble of intimacy. What is going on? Why are you all crying? Mark blinked, his moment of vulnerability shattering around him. He quickly wiped his eyes, transforming back into the stoic father she had known. Hey, buddy, everything's okay. His voice was steady, but there was an undercurrent of tension. Jamie, sensing the heaviness in the air, frowned. But it doesn't look okay, he protested, looking confused and concerned. No, really, it's fine, Lily said, forcing a smile, although it felt more like a mask. The warmth and comfort they had almost achieved lingered just out of reach. Just some grown-up stuff. Grown-up stuff. It felt like a phrase they all used too often, but now it felt like a veil over something significant. Jamie stared at them, and the determination in his bright blue eyes reminded her of the more innocent times when family conflicts didn't exist. Can I play on the tablet? Lily exchanged a glance with her father and mother, a silent agreement passing between them. They needed to navigate this together. Sure, but you need to make it quick. We need to talk as a family. As Jamie bounded out of the room, the atmosphere shifted again, this time toward a sense of urgency. Mark sighed heavily, the weight of their earlier conversation tugging at him. I don't want to unload all this stuff on you too. You're the kids. This should have never been your burden to bear. Maybe it shouldn't have been, Helen interjected softly. But it has been, all along. The more you try to shield us, the more it wounds us. Mark rubbed his temples, a sign of a man wrestling with his demons. I thought I was protecting you. I thought if you didn't know, you wouldn't hurt. But we are hurting, Lily said, her voice trembling with renewed emotion. We're hurting now more than if you just let us in. You're not alone in this, Dad. You never were. A long silence fell over them like a heavy blanket. Mark's eyes searched their faces, trying to unearth some kind of understanding or agreement. It was then that the idea of breaking the cycle of silence seemed possible. I made choices years ago. He took a steadying breath, his voice trembling, yet filled with an odd sense of resolve. Things I'm not proud of. I thought if I ran far enough away from my past, it wouldn't affect us. But I've come to see that it's been like a shadow ever since. A new wave of emotion washed over them. It felt like breaking through glass, raw and risky. Lily stepped forward, reaching for him. We can handle the truth. Just tell us. He hesitated. You might not like what you hear. It might change everything you think about me. What I think about you is already changing, Lily responded, her heart pounding. And it's okay for you to be afraid. We just want you to try. Mark swallowed hard, looking at both of them with a mixture of fear and hope. Okay, he murmured, the weight of admission drawing closer. I'll try. Before he could begin, Jamie's voice called from the hallway again. What is taking so long? Lily felt a tidal wave of irritation at the interruption, but somewhere deep down, she also felt grateful for his presence. Their family dynamics would continue to shift, but as a unit, they needed to weather this storm together. Dad, she said, squeezing his hand, her voice steady. Let's do this. One step at a time. Mark closed his eyes for a moment, as if collecting himself. In that moment, Lily felt hope surge through her veins. They were all ready. As they prepared to unveil the truth, the air was thick with anticipation and the promise of transformation. But deep within her, a nagging uncertainty lingered. What would this revelation change? And would they all come out intact on the other side? Mark opened his eyes, courage flickering in them. All right, here goes. In that instant, Lily held her breath, bracing for the storm that was about to break. As her father's words hovered on the tip of his tongue, a new understanding began to dawn. Was their family ready for the truth? Mark searched for the right words, the fear evident in the tightening of his jaw. When I was younger, I made decisions that they followed me. I didn't want to be that person anymore. I thought by becoming someone else, I could escape. His voice wavered between strength and vulnerability. Lily felt her insides twist. She thought of her father as a man who stood tall and resolute, not someone who had been lost at sea. What kind of decisions? She whispered that a weighty silence enveloped them. I ran away from home because I didn't fit in. I thought leaving would mean starting fresh. He took a deep breath. But I got pulled into things I never imagined. Drug use, bad company, lies. It culminated in choices that hurt others, including family. Who did you hurt? Lily asked, holding her breath, her heart racing. She needed the truth, but was terrified of where it would lead. In my haste to escape, I hurt your mother and my own parents. I lost touch with family for years. They thought I was gone. Mark's voice cracked slightly, breaking the dam of composed fatherhood. Tears brimmed in Helen's eyes, reflecting shock and pain. Mark, I knew there was history, but she stifled a sob. You've never talked about this. Mark nodded slowly, the admission heavy. Because I was ashamed. And I thought if I didn't say it out loud, it wouldn't be real. Lily felt the echo of that shame reverberate within herself. Were you ever going to tell us? She asked, heart racing with a mix of anger and hurt. Or were we just meant to live in the shadow? It was never my intention, he said, his voice trembling now. I meant to protect you both. But now I see that it hurt you in ways I can't even fathom. Jamie re-entered the room, a tablet in hand, oblivious to the turmoil swirling about. Are we done with the grown-up stuff? He asked brightly, a flush of innocence shining through the clouds of tension. Lily glanced at her brother, longing to shield him from this burden. Not quite yet, Jamie. We're just having a tough conversation. Okay, he chirped, plopping down to the floor, immersed in his colorful screen. The brightness of the device almost felt like a stark contrast to the emotional shadows hanging in the room. Dad, Lily pressed, urgency resounding in her voice. We need to know. Is this about more than just mistakes? Is there something else? Something that could still hurt us? Mark swallowed hard. I found out some things about my past that tie into our family. Things I never thought I'd uncover, but they could change everything. Lily's stomach nodded. What do you mean? You can't just drop that bombshell. Before Mark could respond, a text notification pinged from his phone, cutting through the intensity. There was a flicker in his eyes that sent a chill down Lily's spine. It was an expression she hadn't seen before. Troubled, disturbed, he reached for his phone, reading the message with quick, darting eyes. I need to take this. But the urgency in his voice only heightened her concern. Dad, wait, she pleaded, feeling the momentum of their conversation stalling. This is too important to put on hold. What if you never come back to it? Mark's face twisted in apprehension as he looked between his phone and his kids. I need to. He hesitated, clearly torn. In that moment, the family stood at a precipice, every heartbeat echoing with the weight of unspoken truths. As Mark stepped toward the hallway, Lily's heart raced. Was he about to abandon their moment? Or was something even worse waiting on the other side of that door? Please, she urged, don't leave us now. Mark paused, conflicted. The weight of generations loomed, and suddenly the truth felt heavier than clouds before a storm. What seismic shift was coming their way? Lily sensed a fracture in their family line, teetering on the edge of the unknown. Would they be able to pull through together, or would the unraveling of one man's past tear their family apart? Mark hesitated, his hand still hovering over the phone. The urgency in the room felt suffocating. It was like standing in the eye of a hurricane, knowing the winds were about to rage back to life. I just need a moment, he said, his voice shaky. Lily watched as he slipped away into the hallway, the door barely closing behind him. It was more than just the sound of him walking away. It was the sound of potential truths slipping even further out of reach. What do you think it is? Jamie asked, looking up from his tablet, eyes wide with innocence and curiosity. I don't know, Lily replied, her voice barely above a whisper. But it's something big. Something that might change everything for us. Like a superhero secret? He asked, tilting his head. Maybe, but not the kind you'd want, Lily muttered, running a hand through her hair. She felt a knot tighten in her stomach. The thought of her father hiding something more sinister than mere mistakes clawed at her heart. That a moment later, Mark returned to the room, his face marbled with conflict. I want to be gone long, he said, barely meeting their eyes. It's just a business thing. Nothing that concerns you. Lily's pulse quickened. Nothing that concerns us? Dad, it concerns our family. It concerns our future. Mark's brow furrowed, and for a second, he looked lost, like he was still fumbling for the right words in a fog that just wouldn't lift. You have to trust me, he said finally, his voice low and strained. Why should we trust you? Lily blurted out, feeling more anger than she could contain. You've shared nothing but shadowy parts of your past. How can we trust that this isn't just another secret, another lie? Because I'm trying to make things right, he shot back, and for a split second, she could see the rawness of his pain, the longing to heal the rift that had grown so wide. Then open up, she demanded softly but firmly. Let us in. We can handle the truth together. Jamie, sensing the tension, spoke up again. Can I still play games? Or has my superhero secret ruined everything? Lily smiled at her brother's innocent interruption, but the weight of her father's tension remained. This isn't your fault, Jamie. We're just figuring things out. Mark knelt in front of Jamie, forcing a smile. Hey, you know what? We'll have some family time soon, okay? Just hang tight. Lily watched the exchange, the cracks of her father's effort to keep everything together glimmering before her. But she couldn't shake the deepening dread that swirled around them. When Mark stood up, the tension shifted. I'll tell you everything soon. I need to figure a few things out first, he said, taking a deep breath as though summoning strength from somewhere deep within. Why not now? Lily pressed, frustration burning in her chest. We deserve to know. You can't keep us hanging like this. Because I don't want to put you in more danger, he said, a whisper that held a sliver of panic. Danger? Mark's hand trembled slightly as he ran it over his face. Just let me sort through this first. Lily felt her heart sink. Is it about your past? Is it something from the people you hurt? Or something even worse? I promise I'll explain. Just please, he pleaded, his expression raw and earnest. They were running out of time, the air between them taut with unspoken fears. Lily's mind spun with 100 possibilities, each more dreadful than the last. What could possibly connect her father's unresolved past to their present? Without another word, Mark retreated again, leaving Lily and Jamie alone. She looked at her brother, who still appeared hopeful, blissfully unaware of the tempest swirling just outside their window. Are you okay? Jamie asked, handing her the tablet. Yeah, just a bit anxious, she admitted, looking toward the hallway where their father had disappeared. You know he loves us, right? Jamie said, so innocent and yet so wise. She nodded, but doubt lingered in her heart. What if love was not enough to protect them from hidden truths? As the silence echoed, she closed her eyes, feeling the weight of the world pressing down. What shadows loomed over their family? Just how deep did the betrayal run? The answers felt closer than ever, yet impossibly out of reach. With each tick of the clock, the urgency grew. Was she ready to face what lurked in the dark? The air was thick with tension as Mark finally re-entered the room, vulnerability creeping across his features. Lily's heart raced in her chest, balancing hope and fear. I'm back, he said, voice steady but his eyes betrayed the inner storm brewing. Please, Dad, Lily urged. Just tell us what we need to know. Mark leaned against the wall, taking a deep breath. This isn't easy for me. You need to understand that, he began. I've kept myself locked away, trying to distance myself from decisions I never should have made. Lily's heart constricted. The words hung heavily before her, like shattered glass. What kind of decisions? The question slipped out, pressed hard by growing urgency. I got involved with the wrong people who made me do things. Not just poor choices, but things that crossed lines I wish I could have taken back. Each word came out like a confession steeped in regret. Why didn't you ever tell us? Helen asked, sorrow blending with desperation in her voice. We could have helped you. Maybe I thought I was being strong by protecting you, Mark said, voice shaky. But I ended up creating more walls instead of tearing down the enemy. Lily felt the ache in her chest evolve into something sharper, a realization that the shadows her father hid from them weren't merely his burden, they were a family affair. But you had to know that keeping this from us hurt us too, right? Mark hung his head, ashamed. I've been running from my past for so long, thinking I'd shield you from any repercussions of my mistakes. But I see all of it was selfish. Helen reached out, her heart breaking for the man she loved. You don't have to carry this alone. We're your family. Let us in. Some things can't just be let in. Secrets cling, they wreak havoc. Mark's voice wavered as if he were struggling against an invisible tide. What I did has strings attached, and I fear they're tangled around this family. Then let us untangle them together. Lily stepped forward, her heart aflame with the need for reconciliation. But you have to trust us. You have to share everything. Mark finally met her gaze, the storm in his eyes beginning to break, revealing something brighter, a flicker of hope. You may regret what I say. Some stains are indelible. But learning to understand is every bit part of healing, Lily insisted. No one can move forward fully shackled to unresolved pain. Mark's breath hitched, guilt washing over his face like a wave. I met someone during my service. Things happened that I should never have allowed to take place. They left scars I never let heal while I roamed unchecked. Lily felt a sharp intake of breath. What kind of scars? The worst kind, betrayals that I believed would never touch our family, he whispered. Performances and skirmishes that led to choices that haunted me long after the adrenaline waned. I lost friends. Lily and I lost sight of who I was beneath the man I tried to be. Tears gathered in Lily's eyes, warmth flooding her as the threads of understanding began to weave through their complex tapestry. You're human, Dad. We all make mistakes. You're our hero not for being perfect, but for standing here now, vulnerable. I never wanted you to see me like this, Mark replied, struggling against fresh waves of emotion. I never thought it would affect you in this way. None of us comprehend war unless we experience it or hear about it directly. It lands differently on every heart, Helen added softly, reaching for his hand. But you need to let us bear the weight with you. As Mark looked back and forth between his wife and daughter, he seemed to feel the dam of emotions slowly breaking. Together? He whispered, the tremor in his voice laced with hope. Together, they echoed, the unity in their voices a promise against the tide of shadows that had persisted for far too long. The three shared a moment of quiet stillness, strength simmering amid vulnerability. Mark's eyes glistened with tears, a visible crack in the armor he had worn for years. In that shared silence, something profound shifted, the tether of family grew stronger, transcending the scars of a war long fought. Lily reached out, taking her father's hand. It's okay to cry, Dad. We're here, we're right here. A wave of relief crashed over him. With trembling lips, he nodded, and tears streamed willingly down his face. I'm so sorry for everything. Sorry I let you down. Sorry for the silence that hung heavy between us. The walls built on suppressed fears fell like brittle dust, leaving room for something real love laced with compassion and honest acknowledgement. Let us promise to always be open, Lily said, her voice echoing amidst the heavy air. Let us promise to handle the hard conversations, no matter how uncomfortable. Mark's gaze shifted between Lily and Helen, clarity setting in. This family is everything. I won't hide from that truth anymore. My past is mine to carry, but I'll never carry it alone again. They stood together, shadows of doubt fading into the warmth of a new understanding, making way for healing within hearts slowly mending. Each promise breathed new life into the air, challenging the misunderstandings that had nearly broken them, but had now combined their strengths beautifully. In that living room, a sacred pact formed, a promise built on honesty and resilience, binding their family together, inviting the light back in where shadows had once suffocated under silence. They would carry burdens, not as individual weights, but as shared strength moving forward, unwavering in commitment. With newfound hope glowing within, they took their first step together through uncertain terrain, but knowing they would emerge intact, letting the flame of truth illuminate their future. This was their moment of transformation. And now for you, standing witness to this harrowing yet inspiring journey of recovery and understanding, it's time to do your part. You need to subscribe now to ensure you don't miss out on more exclusive stories like this one. Leave a like immediately to feed the algorithm and showcase your support. Every single click matters. And don't wait, not even one more second, to comment below your feelings about this ending. You deserve to share your voice. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who also need to witness this powerful transformation. Let us spread the healing.